In general, across the nation, what we're seeing on rental portfolios, between taxes and insurance, if you bought a house 3 or 4 years ago, and even if you have a 3 or 4% mortgage that you took out a couple years ago, you're break-even cash flow. Welcome back to Real Investing, where we talk about real investing for the everyday investor. I'm Tim Harridge, joined by my co-host,
Ryan Harper.
and my good friend, Jon Nolen. Jon, thank you for making the long trip from Oklahoma City.
Only for you, Tim.
He's lying. He comes here all the time. So I'm going to dive right in. Oklahoma City, how is the real estate market?
It's interesting. At the median price point and below, things are moving quick. Above, slow.
What is the median?
It's about 225 right now.
Really?
Yeah,
In Oklahoma
it's still
City?
pretty low. Yeah.
I love it.
So I mean, we're focusing more on the lower end flips when we're flipping. We have 2 right now that are just sitting there above the median. We're not even getting showings on them.
And relatively, because we're such young pups.
Well, I don't know.
What's a long time? What is a long time?
Right now, it's 75 days.
Oh
That's
my
our average. I know.
Remember back when 90 was quick?
Well, I don't know what's more surprising, that it's only 220 or that it's actually 220. Because, like, and I mean, just being really honest, like now, like Oklahoma City, I'd be like, who would want to live there? No offense, I'm just saying. But 220 seems really, really high for Oklahoma City. But at the same time, relative, man, I wish you could buy for 220 in Dallas.
Yeah, and it's been interesting. I mean, everybody's gone up since COVID, but back when I first started, I could flip a house and sell it for $75 a foot. Done. I can't even buy them for $75 a foot now. But I mean, just like everything goes up.
So I'm going to scatter shoot like a ping pong ball. You also started a software company. You own a bunch of houses. You buy a bunch of houses. You flip a bunch of houses. We'll talk about real estate and stuff. You started a software company that I find intriguing because it's like a to Z, soup to nuts, CRM, like advertising management, like then acquisition management, then like project management on the rehab. I think even property management's kind of in there too. Not yet.
It will be.
We talked about it because you're a big buy and hold investor.
Yeah.
You came from software sales or management or design?
Design.
And before that, Marine Corps.
Yep.
Okay, and a pilot.
I am a pilot as well.
That concludes the show. We've hit everything about Jon.
Except name what the software was.
Oh, Pete.
Yep. Pete.
Pete. Okay.
Yep.
Ask Pete.
Who's Pete?
Oh, who's Pete?
We tried thinking of a name that went along with real estate or REI this, REI that, and none of them sounded good. And we went, you know what? Our dog's named Pistol. My wife and I run it. Our dog's name's Pistol. We're Oklahoma State fans. Our mascot's Pistol Pete. Let's just do a little nod. And it gives a nice thing of what can Pete do for you? How can Pete help? Have Pete do it.
And he even got excited about the color of his chair when he got here.
did.
He was like, they knew
It's
I was
orange.
coming.
Perfect.
Well, we planned that just for you. Like the previous guest, the chair was black. It wasn't.
No, I just,
They were very dark.
I
They were very dark.
I was like, you changed the chair? All right, so above median home price moving slow, below median home price moving fast. About rentals, how's like the rent? I mean, still going up?
No, it's
Flatter down? Or?
It pretty much leveled about a year ago and has gone down just a little bit.
What about collections?
Still doing fine.
Yeah?
No real changes.
Not a bunch
on
of
this.
evictions?
No, we generally don't. I mean, we have occasionally, but generally we pick our tenants well enough and we screen them well enough that we don't have many problems.
So what if you're doing the investor? If you're a full-time investor or part-time investor, and you're also a full-time developer, like what do you like more, and then where are you spending more of your time?
Almost all of my time is on Pete now.
Okay.
Our team handles almost everything. We have a meeting every morning. I spend a little bit of time with them, but then nobody's even allowed in my office until 1:30 in the afternoon after that. That way I can focus on Pete and do things.
Start implementing that. That sounds like a great idea.
I get distracted. And I get over here, over there. If people are coming in, then I end up with nothing done and it's 4 o'clock. So we started that a while back and that helps a lot. I like Pete. I like working on that aspect of it and figuring out things and making things more efficient for people. And
I do like that name now because like it kind of rolls off. I like Pete. Like, Pete works. Have Pete do it. You shouldn't rob Peter to pay Paul, though, just so you know. Not in your business.
No.
So I have all these questions because Ternus recently, as I text you, opened up our balance sheet into Oklahoma. And I love the property value there because for me, you know, my balance sheet's like my money. And so it only goes so far. And if I'm doing $100,000 loans in Oklahoma with $1 million, I can do 10 loans. Well, if I'm doing $200,000 loans in Dallas, I can only do 5 loans. And I make so much on the origination, but then I've got fee revenue as well. So I would rather do like more loans and then also spread my risk out. What's the job market like in Oklahoma City?
It's good. It really is good. We're pretty diverse. I mean, we've got the Air Force Base that employs a lot of people, but then after that, we've got a Hertz call center. We've got a number of call centers that are in Oklahoma City you wouldn't think of. Paycom, which is a payroll software company, is based out of Oklahoma City. They have an office down here in Dallas as well. But it's real diverse. It's doing well. We have a Dell office there as well.
When, as far as Pete goes, Tim rattled off a whole host of services. What do you think y'all are best at?
We're best at bringing the tools together, implement them in Pete so that people aren't jumping between systems and losing efficiency and
Swivel
losing
chair.
notes. Yeah.
Right, like you got to go
chair.
over to this monitor to do this and this monitor to do that.
Yeah, when we're flipping a property, when our project manager needs to look at something like find out what the roof was, or the hot water tank, or electricity versus gas, they're not having to go to another system. They're already on the page for the property. They just look at the notes. I mean, we just make it simple. It focuses on the property instead of the seller, and then going over to the property later.
So it's a project management software for flipping specifically?
Yeah.
So
Does
like
that
I can,
CRM, phone, all the way from when the lead comes in until they're done with the property.
and then like I can upload my invoices for record keeping, that kind of thing?
You can. I don't know if anybody's going that far. 'Cause
Okay.
generally, most people still have QuickBooks.
Okay.
But you can. You can store files. You can badge them. You can share them. Whatever you need to do. When people text in pictures, for example, sellers text in pictures, they're right there. They're not having to go over to another system, click a link, open it up.
You don't have to go log into
in.
CallRail and
No.
maybe it came through, maybe it didn't. Who
No,
knows?
it's right there on the screen. Then we always have it. It's always accessible.
Yeah, when it comes to CRMs, it always feels like there's always a CRM out there that can get an 80% there, and you're like, man, I wish it had this last 20%. And then there's another CRM that has that 20% you want, but then they lose something over here, and you're like, I wish I just had something that could just pull them all together.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest. Salesforce will do that for people, but most people don't have the budget
Shit.
or the
Yeah.
brains to put Salesforce together.
Was that to the budget or the brains?
Both.
It's tough. I mean, it's powerful, but it's really tough and it's really expensive. And most small business owners, man, that's not a good fit for
I
them.
was doing HubSpot I still have HubSpot, but when I first got HubSpot, I was spending $1,500 a month. And then I was like, this is insane. I can't afford this. Also, I'm not utilizing all these tools that supposedly are worth $1,500 a month. And I'm getting the same value at the $30 a month value.
Yeah.
I just can't do certain things. And again, it's like, ideally, I would like to have all the professional stuff of HubSpot or Salesforce, but spending $1,500, $2,000 a month on a thing like that's not producing actual dollars.
And it's a small part of the system. After you've got your stuff in HubSpot, but then everything else happens
Well, I still got to
outside of
spend
that.
$800 or $1,000 a month on Dropbox
Yeah.
for my business. Yeah, so it's like, I just got a call from Storyblocks the other day saying, oh, by the way, you're on the wrong plan. Storyblocks is do you know what Storyblocks is?
Never heard of it.
It's a software, or it's basically a licensing platform for additional stock footage. And we were on the wrong program, and the program we were on were $400 a year. The right program is $13,000. So I was like, we will not be using Storyblocks. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow.
We would like to stay on the wrong program. Thank you.
Yes. Is that an option? Let's just stay where we are.
Right.
I'm going to hang up now. Please pretend as if we never spoke.
Yeah, they're like, we'll have our legal team reach out. I'm like, they can reach out, but I don't have $13,000 to pay for stock footage. I'll go
that's
have my
crazy.
guys
They
go
went
film
straight
it.
legal on you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
So-
they can ask, but it's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
I will give you Tim Harridge's phone number. So I don't want to give away too much of your personal information, but you've been doing this a while. You've got a couple houses in your rental portfolio.
A few.
You still do a couple flips a year. You and your wife Amy have a plane, and y'all like to fly around and like a cool. I follow you all over Instagram and Facebook. You got like the cabin in the mountains. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of investors see or hear that kind of thing, and they think a year or two they can get there, right? And they want to skip all that headache stuff. Maybe talk a little bit about the way that you and Amy have designed your lifestyle, some of the realities behind the growing pains of real estate that maybe people have to go through, and then the obvious sell, of course, is how having a good system helps you do it or could have gotten you there quicker type conversation.
I mean, we travel a lot, yes. We do a lot of things, but it comes down to necessity. When I got into real estate full time, we were dabbling in it before that part time. When I got into it full time, it's because I had to have that time available to do what I wanted. Our kids had health issues. We were flying from Oklahoma City up to New York City at some points twice a month for doctor's appointments, and a W-2 won't let you do that. And it's just not going to happen. So it's funny, when things are a necessity, they happen. So being able to be flexible was something that we always had to have. And yeah, people think, oh, I'm just going to jump in, I'm going to make $1 million next year. I saw this, YouTube video, and I was like, okay, it's not that easy. It is hard work. It'll take some time. You'll have some ups, you'll have some downs. Don't get too down when it's down. Don't beat yourself up too much. But also, when you have those highs, don't blow that money. I mean, I've heard people say, oh, I got my first deal, I made $27,000, and I went on a vacation. I'm like, you spent $27,000 on a vacation? Damn, that's an expensive-ass vacation.
Well, one thing, I think it needs to be said, probably in every single video, just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's actually true. Because usually those guys are saying about, oh, I made $1 million on the internet. They're like 19, 22 years old, and they may have. I'm entirely open to the idea that they actually made what they said they made. But more than likely, they're full of shit.
Yeah, it's just like people who say, oh, I had 30 deals a month every month. Okay, maybe you did. How many of those did you close? How many did you actually close?
I got 200 contracts yesterday.
And did you make any money on them? If you're making $200 on a contract, you're not going to stay in business.
One of my, I'm going to give you a props. Go ahead. One of my favorite Facebook posts of all time is from this dude right here. And this is like maybe, 5-10 years ago.
You're going to make his head get big.
I know.
It already is.
It was he posted a picture of $150,000 check. Just because at the time on Facebook, everybody was like, look at my check. He's like, I broke even, and it just because it might have been 300,000. It doesn't matter what the number was, but it wasn't $1. But the whole point was I could show checks all day. That don't mean I made any money.
Nope.
So I just wanted to give you
so
praise.
many investors use unsecured money, and so like even another Insta guru that recently posted like some $700,000 check, and you see it's from a flip, and you're just like, yeah, he didn't make $700,000 because. To make $700,000, you're talking about a $4 or $5 million house, and that's if you actually execute really well and everything goes perfect. But one of the things I want to talk about, our friend Mike Hambright, we used to work together, training and educating new home investors franchisees, and I always hated it when they had success out the gate, because they make $50,000 in that first month. In their mind,
this is easy.
No, they now make $50,000 a month.
Oh,
and you're like, wait, you spent $30,000 on the franchise, took you 6 months to train. We need to amortize that out. we need to be honest with ourselves. And by the way, you may not make that next month, so we need a cushion, right? Well, and so to what you were saying.
And also when they get, some of that's luck right off the bat. Then they start getting a big head, a la Tim. And they think they know it all, and so they start doing things different. They're not listening. They're not doing being as rigid on things. And the next thing you know, they lost $20,000.
I knew a guy, his first deal, his first assignment he ever did, $300,000 assignment, 150 cash, 150 on a note, and he was told, don't blow this, use this to start your business. This is a massive win. It was a commercial deal. It was a massive win. Use this as an opportunity to build a business. Don't renovate your house. Don't go buy a new truck. Put it into the bank and get into marketing.
Yep.
He bought a new truck. He fixed up the house. He sold that note for $50K. He just gave up $100,000 just because he went broke like that. It's like, and it goes to the point of like, when somebody's giving you free advice, maybe listen.
But it's hard, and we've all been there. I know I've been there before. I've made money and been like, oh, boom, burn a hole in my pocket, let's get rid of it. But
That's me every month.
listen to people and realize you don't know everything.
Or get a wife that'll make you save it. That works for me.
Well, the point is, I think you should listen to everyone, but then use your own self-judgment to apply, because obviously not all information is equal.
Pete,
Right.
we selling it, we keeping it. What's the plan?
Keeping it.
Keeping it?
Keeping it.
You just love being a software guy that much.
I like it, and it'll be a good cash flow play over the years.
What about all the Oklahoma City houses? Selling or keeping?
We'll keep most of them. We've sold a few of them here and there, but we really planned on keeping those long term and having those be long term cash flow as well.
What's property tax like up there? And the context being, I know a lot of guys locally.
Not like this shit here.
No, nothing like here.
One of the context is, I know a lot of guys that have these massive rental empires that are just like, I'm kind of done. I kind of want to like get rid of it and get into like storage units or something, just because of the property tax.
It's not bad. On a $100,000 house, it's going to run me $1,000 to $1,200 a year. It's not bad at all.
He said $100,000 house. That's a lot here now.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Rockwall County last week fighting my property taxes. We've got 5 houses out there, and they assessed them at like $6 million. And I felt like they were assessed by over $1 million. And it was just, you know, that's a $27,000 a year difference in my cash flow.
Wow.
Right? And that's just a lot for me. I spent all morning there, and it's just like the stupid. I mean, I'm going to court now, so it just is what it is. But in general, I would like to know this. Like in general, across the nation, what we're seeing on rental portfolios, between taxes and insurance, if you bought a house 3 or 4 years ago, and even if you have a 3 or 4% mortgage that you took out a couple years ago, you're break-even cash flow. Like, that's just
True.
Rent houses don't make money.
They don't make a lot of money, and most people, and you know this, will look at it and be like, okay, I'm going to cash flow $600 on this property. And you go, okay, but how much are you putting aside for maintenance, your capital expenditures, your vacancies? Oh, I'm not counting any of that. Oh, okay, so you're going to cash flow like $50.
Yeah. Guru didn't tell me about that.
There's not a ton of cash flow. We cash flow better on some than others, but that's been our big focus is we want to make sure that we do cash flow. And then we refi occasionally on some of them, but for the most part, we're not trying to refi our properties every few years. We want that cash flow to increase and as time goes on.
Well, as a lender, I think you should refi more and often, or more often.
We do some. We do some.
So look, I mean, Oklahoma City, there's what, 17 houses there. You own half of them. What, is there another market? Are you going to go down to Norman? I mean, you said you're an Oklahoma State guy. So you got to hate Norman real estate.
You know, we have a couple rentals down in Norman. And when I say Oklahoma City, it's, you know, the whole metro. And we've got, within an hour drive, the majority of our properties. We have some in northwest Oklahoma, 27, I think, in Enid, Oklahoma. And
That's like Indian territory, right?
Well, all of
North.
Oklahoma was Indian territory.
I got you.
We've got like 27 up there, including our murder house. Ask me about that
The
sometime.
murder house? Well, we're just going to talk about it now.
Can we just go straight there?
I mean, boring shit anyway. Murder house.
So you've had a flea house, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a house that we were told there was a rattlesnake underneath.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks ago, our property manager got a call from the police.
Oh, you already own this damn thing?
Yeah, we already own this. This is one that's waiting to be worked on.
Torn down.
And police want to know if it was occupied or not. No, it's vacant. Okay, do we have permission to enter? Sure, what do you need? Well, we have reason to believe there is a dead body in the storm shelter.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah, we're thinking, God, what the hell's going on? Guy, they ended up going down. They found a dead body, had been disposed of there, did not originate there, had been missing for 8 months.
How long you own this house?
A little while. But nobody's gone in. We've done
That thing
property
stinks
checks.
to high heaven.
Yeah, they said from the smell, they were pretty sure their body was in there. But long
Oh
story
my
on the backstory of it,
God.
but he's been missing for 8 months. And yeah.
What? How big is the lot? Like, because is it right? Because if it's a
pretty
storm
close.
shelter next to somebody else's house, I don't think it would take me 8 months to figure out that it smelled bad.
I don't know how. Nobody reported it before. Yeah, it was probably 100, 150 feet from somebody else's house.
Forget that.
And we'd been in the property, and we do checks on our properties every 2-3 weeks. But
Nobody checked. You need to fire whoever was supposed to check that.
we never go in the storm shelters. I never
Yeah,
thought
but you
to
would
make
have
that.
smelled that.
You would think. The day that they found them, our mowing crew was there and mowed the yard. Didn't say a word about it smelling.
Oh my gosh. So this is why I say you should sell all your houses. Like, people don't die inside your Pete software. The cops don't call
so
and
Well, he
inspect
didn't
it.
die in the property.
You don't know that.
Right, but that property specifically, and this is, I don't know if it's relevant or interesting, but I'm curious. Now, is it on record as a crime scene? Because like, if I'm a renter, I probably don't care if the rent's good, and if I'm buying, I probably don't care if it's cheap. But if it's an expensive house, you ain't selling that thing.
It's not an expensive house, thank goodness. But Oklahoma's one of those states that you don't have to disclose
Really?
this. Now, if somebody asks, we have to answer honestly, but we don't have to put it out there at the beginning.
So if you're watching this from Oklahoma, make sure you ask if someone died in the home or they found a dead body recently.
Well, I do think it's an interesting topic because at a certain price point, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like lower houses, I don't mean lower houses, but lower price point houses, like nobody gives a shit that somebody died or got killed or whatever because they're just trying to find a house. But if it's like $1 million or a really expensive house, people care and they're not going to spend those dollars. It's like the school shooter up northeast. That house, the owner, even though I think the mother was murdered there, they tore that house down because they knew nobody was ever going to live there.
Yeah.
There was a murder-suicide house. I walked in Watauga several years ago, and it was weird because there was kills all the wall, there was bullet holes, and then you still saw the forensic tape, and you're like, this is weird. It sat forever because it was like a $600,000-$800,000 house.
Yeah.
And it was just like, even though you could do a deal, nobody's going to buy that house because it's on record.
I really think you should buy more houses in Norman and rent them to Oklahoma University, the Sooner students, and just get in the habit of evicting them. Wouldn't it be fun? Show up in a Pistol Pete outfit and like, you're out of here.
That would be fun, but that'd mean I'd have to be involved in it. And I like not being involved.
Do it on a Friday afternoon. Have a drink, head down, do an eviction. So what else? What else is going on?
I'll just spending time with family and traveling and
How's marketing expense right now? I mean, I hear a lot of people talking about the cost per acquisition's way up, but profit margins have gone up as well.
we're the oddball on that.
You are the oddball, or
Yeah,
Oklahoma City's the
we
oddball?
are.
Okay.
Our cost per acquisition is right around $1,600.
Dollars?
Yeah, it's really low for us. We've been on TV, and that's all we've been doing TV and radio only for about 2 years. Found out recently radio was not. Went in and dove in on our stats in Pete and saw our number one lead source was radio, but our last for contracts,
But when you say TV, what do you mean by that?
TV commercials.
Like traditional or
So
streaming?
there's this thing in the living room.
Thanks, Tim. I mean serious though. Like,
Yeah.
Local channels.
So local channels, like, and then you're just doing like a 30-second spot and put them out there
Yeah.
for like daytime TV or all. Okay,
Yeah, Judge Judy, Matlock, all that.
interesting.
Are you the actor?
I am on it. Yes, Amy and I are both.
Where can I find this?
You can
Is
find
it
it.
on
On
YouTube?
it's on our website.
I'm gonna
Well,
look.
I think it's interesting because it shows how different marketing works in different places. Because like, other than Homevestors, I don't know anybody that does local stuff here.
John D'Angelo.
Other than him,
He's done it for like 30 years though.
right? But do you think it's just because it's expensive that most people might not
I think
do
they
it?
think it's expensive.
Okay.
We do ours through Tony Javier. He does our TV
It's
for
like
us. And it's
Flipping
not
Houses TV or something like that.
bad. Yeah, it's not bad. We are getting back into mail though. When we realized that radio wasn't doing well, like okay, let's get those funds moved somewhere else. And we're going back into mail shortly.
So how many you buy a month?
4 to 5.
4 or 5 a month. You're running TV ads. That's got to be at the point of saturation in Oklahoma City. I know there's a lot of people that have been doing this virtual wholesale stuff and all this cold calling and text blasting. Is that something you're looking at? Do you think you'll expand beyond the core base?
We've done all of those before. Did texting for a number of years. Did well on it. It kind of came, went, wasn't profitable anymore, so we got rid of it a while back. But
Kind of illegal now. Depends who you ask.
yeah.
Not an attorney.
I'm just always looking at where the flow is. I don't want to get pinned down in, oh, I'm only going to do this marketing or I'm not going to do that marketing. Who knows? Things could change and cold calling could become the biggest thing because something happens and, whatever. We'll maybe go back to that. But right now we just want to stay with what we know is working and move the rudder slow.
Acquisition strategy. Do you think you convert so well and you have such a low cost per acquisition? Because, that's an extremely low cost per acquisition. Is it because your team knows exactly what they're shopping for and they're looking for that? Because the core of what you do is rentals, right?
We actually haven't added a rental in about 18 months. We're just flipping and a little bit of hotel and a little bit of wholesale, but mainly flipping the last 18 months.
So what's your team look like right now to run five flips a month?
We've got a lead manager. She takes day, night, weekend, whatever. She takes the calls and the web leads. We have one acquisition manager, a project manager, a project assistant, Amy and I who help where needed, and then our in-house property manager. That's our actual team. Then we've got crews that do the work. But that's it. We've gotten lean. We tried to go big. At one point, we were doing 20, 25 deals a month a few years ago. Trying to wholesale this and that, and what happened? I got burnt out fast. I hated going to work. I hated dealing with it. So we shrunk back down and are a lot more profitable now than we were then.
I need to know about Pete. Are you going nationwide? You say you don't want to sell it. I don't understand.
Well, you offered me $500 million, I'll take it. I would sell it. But no, it is nationwide. Anybody in the country, we've got people across the country that are using it.
And I hate flipping houses. And my wife always makes fun of me. She's like, you're the only person I know that could work 5 hours a week, make $1 million a year, and refuses to do so. And,
why do you hate it?
I hate Home Depot. I hate cops. I hate code enforcement. I don't like contractors, and I don't like realtors, except for my wife.
Here's the thing is, I'll jump on this because I don't do real estate either. Well, he does real estate. I don't do it at all. But because I don't like the wholesaling, the single distressed world of I hate hoarder houses. I hate dealing cat piss. I don't like the misery that comes with distressed sellers. So I just don't like that. Even though I have a vast network in this world, and humbly, I actually know a little bit about the world as well. So it's why don't you do that? So I completely can resonate with that. Why don't you do this thing where you can make a shit ton of money because you already have the pieces in place? But it's I just don't want to.
Well, but here's the other thing. And this is why I keep asking you if you're going to sell Pete or you're going to sell your houses. I started looking at exit strategies, right? I started really looking at, you can't exit your skill set, right? There's no way, I can't sell you my ability, right?
Right.
I can build a company that creates monthly recurring revenue. I can build a company that has a third-party valuation. I can build a company that has software that could add value to your operation. That's what I'm struggling with. I've heard great things about your software. And in my mind, I'm over here John, let's pour gas on it and sell it. Let's go make $100 million this year and then buy another plane.
Or throw gas on it, build it up, not have to be in it 40 hours a week, and have a massive amount of cash flow from it. That's where my mind goes. I want to not have to worry about cash flow. Yeah, if you have a hoard of cash that you're sitting on, that's great, but what happens, inflation takes it away from you. So I'd rather have the long-term cash flow.
Yeah, it is inflation indexed. So what's next? The housing market is slow. Jobs are good. Rents are flat. cost per acquisition stable. Where do you see the real estate market? Do you think the stupid election has anything to do with real estate? Has any impact on the market?
I don't think so, really, other than when they're adjusting the rates, which, I mean, they say that it's not politically motivated, but it's always,
Well,
there's
the
always
interesting thing is,
on both sides, there's always some manipulation there.
so we're recording this on September 11th. It won't air until October, but today the CPI print came out and everything was lower except housing. Housing went up 2.5% last month. And the reason it did is because rates went down. And so when I hear all these politicians talking about these first-time home buyer tax credits and this grant and that grant, it's like, great, that means inflation, which I actually think rates will go back up by the end of the year.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Federal Reserve was talking about a 50 basis point decrease. I think it's going to be 25 bips. They're already basis points. That's, oh my God, I talk like a damn finance guy. 25 basis points is a quarter point. 100 basis points is a point. We'll put it in the show notes. No, because every time the rates go down, housing and autos will go up. Housing and autos make up a stupid portion of the inflation index. Until the politicians lie to us again and change it, it's just as rates go down, inflation will go back up. I think we're in a seesaw mode for, you were in the housing market in 18 and 19. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a lot like 2018. Rates will dip down, activity will kick up. Rates will kick up, activity will kick down. I think we're in for kind of a rocky 12 months. All the Insta gurus are talking about, oh, rates are going down, house prices are going to skyrocket. I
don't think they're going to let them skyrocket.
don't see it.
But I'm afraid that we've gone too far on the rates.
High?
On keeping them high long enough. I'm afraid our recession is just really going to. We're in a recession. It gets debated all the time.
It's already hit.
But it's here, and I'm worried that it's going to keep going down and down and down. That's what I'm afraid of.
Oh, yeah. Jobless numbers will come up. Mm-hmm. They're already high. Just nobody's looking for a job because they go Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, and they don't have to go get a freaking job.
Yeah.
So, Pete, is it getpete.com? What is it?
The Pete.
Thepete.com. If they're in the Oklahoma City market, you don't do like a RIA or anything, right? But
No, I don't.
Buy houses and sell houses. What's your Insta?
The flipping IT guy.
The flipping IT guy.
What's the main selling proposition? Is it for newer guys, established guys? If I'm doing one house, if I'm doing 10 houses, 50 houses?
All.
Okay.
All. It can scale. It can go up. We've got people that are doing 25, 30 deals a month. And we have people that are doing less than an average of one a month.
Okay.
So it really varies.
Well, the nice thing is I'll say this because I know a lot of my friends that use it, they're still kind of in the growth phase. So he's getting personally involved in like deving it out. Like, so if you have a need and you're actually using it, like he'll get in there, and if you need a customization, whereas some of these more, I'd say, stable platforms or established platforms, not stable. I'm not saying Pete's not stable. I'm not, something more stable that works.
Basically, what you're trying to say is you're accessible versus like if I'm trying to research or get to Google or Facebook, I'm not even talking to a human ever.
Right. Yeah, we get suggestions all the time. I mean, I talk to our user base on a constant basis. Every week I'm talking to some of them. And we take that feedback, and if it makes sense for other people, why wouldn't we implement it? Why wouldn't we have it?
That's why he keeps his door closed till 1:30 every afternoon.
There you go.
All right, well, cool. Well, I'm good. Are you good?
Yeah, I would just say, like, as far as, because this is the Everyday Investor podcast, like, what is something that you wish all investors would either know or implement or just to help their business?
One thing that they could know or implement, be as efficient as possible. Too many times we just fly off the cuff, which there's a time and a place for flying off the cuff, but be efficient with your time more than anything. Your time is what you'll never get back, whether it's with your family or working, whatever the case is. Be efficient and save your time.
See?
There you go.
I got that. That was
Well,
good.
John, I appreciate you coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you not staying in the hotel room I offered you because I get to save some money.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Saving money is
I'll see you at Investor Fuel next month.
Yep, I'll be there and at Investor Fuel Live.
Yes. Oh, yeah, you're going to speak there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Cool.
You want to take us out?
I'm Ryan.
I'm Tim.
John.
We'll see you next week.